everyone, I'm Joyce and I'm from the International Coastal Cleanup Singapore. And we are a group of volunteers who do coastal and mangrove cleanups throughout the year, as well as an island-wide cleanup in September. So the International Coastal Cleanup is an annual event that is conducted in 70 to 100 countries. And this activity is actually coordinated by the US-based agency called the Ocean Conservancy, that is here. And in Singapore, the Singapore chapter is actually coordinated by the volunteers of the Lee Kong Chian Natural History Museum called the Toddy Cats. So this is our 25th year of coastal cleanup, and usually for every year we have about 4,000 volunteers joining us. And during the September cleanup itself, we remove trash from our coastline and we collect data on this. This information is eventually collected and submitted to the Ocean Conservancy, where we use to educate the public and also submitted to governmental and international organizations to lobby for greater environmental efforts. So today I'm here to share with you more about the marine life in Singapore, and generally there is a misconception that there is no marine life in Singapore, given that we have undergone such intensive land reclamation and that we are one of the busiest shipping ports in the world. So despite all these damages done to our coast and shores, we actually still have a substantial amount of marine life left, and today I'll share with you some of the animals that exist here. But before this, let me show you some of the habitats that these animals can be found in. And here you see 6 different habitats. One is the sandy shores, which are the beach. And in Singapore, there are only a few natural sandy shores left. So places like East Coast Park or Pasir Ris Park, they are the reclaimed beaches. And the natural sandy shores that can be found in Singapore include Chek Jawa at Pulau Ubin, some parts of Sentosa, and also Pulau Semakau as well. We also have the mangrove forest. So if you have been to Sungai Buloh Wetland Reserve, this is the kind of forest that you see. And this is a special forest because it is regularly half submerged in water. You can find mangrove in Sungai Buloh, Mandai, Pulau Ubin, Pasir Ris Park, and another kind of habitat that marine animals can be found in is the coastal forest. So the plants here have to sustain high temperatures, strong winds, and also salty sea sprays. You can find coastal forests in Pulau Ubin, Changi Beach, and also Labrador Nature Reserve. This is a seagrass meadow. So the seagrasses, they are actually not grasses, they are actually flowering plants, and sometimes we call them forests of the sea. We can find seagrass meadows in Pulau Ubin, Pulau Hantu, and also Sisters Island. So these are some of the examples, but we can find it in some other places as well. And this is a patch of coral rubble. So usually it just looks like a patch of dead rocks, and maybe probably think that there's nothing there. But if we take a closer look at these, we actually will realize that there's actually it's full of life. We can find coral rubble in Pulau Ubin and also Labrador Nature Reserve, in Pulau Semakau as well. And lastly, we have the rocky shores, which is a shore with rocks, boulders, and stones. And the largest patch that we have is on the mainland is Labrador Nature Reserve. So what are some of the animals that we can find in these habitats? Does anyone want to name some examples of marine life that you know exists in Singapore?
Horseshoe
Horseshoe, okay. Does NSS does the horseshoe?
coastal and mangrove.
Yeah. Okay, so we have the green turtle. So this is a green turtle, which is a kind of sea turtle. It is one of the 7 species of sea turtle that found in the world. So this turtle was, the photo was taken at Pulau Hantu, and it was there because it was looking for food. And this is what it feeds on, which is the seagrasses. We also have another species of turtle in Singapore, which is the hawksbill sea turtle. The ones that you see here, they are actually the hatchlings of the hawksbill sea turtle. This was taken about 10 years back at East Coast Park during a hawksbill turtle rescue. So what happened was that the nature groups were alerted to turtle hatchling crawling in shores at East Coast Park. So they then went down and rescued 76 of the turtles, hatchlings, and released them back into the sea. So usually when the turtle hatched, they will naturally navigate themselves out to the sea using starlight or moonlight that shines onto the sea surface. But in this case, the turtles were actually disoriented because in city areas, usually our shores or our coast is actually pretty light up. So they were kind of they were probably disoriented and they were confused and they start moving inshore instead. So in this case, we think the infrastructure that could have misled them is actually the McDonald building that was located near there. Yeah. We also have this animal in our waters. So it is the dolphins. So we have wild dolphins in Singapore, and they are sometimes spotted off the waters of Singapore. These are wild dolphins, so they are not the ones that we see at the Resorts World Sentosa. And dolphins, they are not resident in our waters. They don't stay in our waters. They travel long distances every day, and sometimes they stop by Singapore. And we have several species of dolphins that were spotted off Singapore's coast as well. So we also have the dugong. This is called also known as the sea cow. So like the dolphins, the dugongs, they don't stay in our waters. They travel long distances every day, and they do stop by Singapore occasionally to visit us. So dugong is known as sea cow. So sea cows feed on seagrasses, because cows feed on grass and sea cows feed on seagrasses. Okay, so the dugongs, they have a mouth. Their mouth is angled downwards in such a way that allows them to munch on the seagrasses. And when they do so, they will leave a feeding trail where it is an empty patch. So usually dugong come in when water level is high. So it's usually very difficult to see them. But sometimes we do know that they came to visit us by looking at the feeding trail. So this is where the dugong has moved and fed on the seagrasses. So this was taken at Chip Java, at Pulau. This is Gardens by the Bay. So sometimes marine animals, they can appear in the most unexpected areas, in a more urbanized area like Gardens by the Bay. And in this case, does anyone know what are the three little things in the water? Yeah, I heard something otters, right? Yeah, so we have two species of otters in Singapore, and the more common species of otters that we see in Singapore is the smooth-coated otters. So the family group that you see here is actually called the Bishan Ang Mo Kio 10. It's so called named because they are frequently seen at Bishan Ang Mo Kio Park. They can also be found at Marina Bay and Gardens by the Bay. So they are called Bishan 10 is because it's a family group of 10. So initially I think it was Bishan 5, then after that it became Bishan Ang Mo Kio 10. Yeah. And what are they doing in Gardens by the Bay? They are looking for fishes in the ponds and the reservoirs around Gardens by the Bay. And sometimes they also make use of the sandy areas to dry their fur. So they will just roll their fur, roll on the beaches, on the sandy peaks. And that's how they dry their fur. We have a lot of charismatic large animals in Singapore. We also have very interesting small animals here as well. And one of them is the giant mudskipper. So mudskipper is not an amphibian, it's not a reptile, it's actually a fish. It is a unique fish species because it is one of the few that can survive out of land for a short period of time because they have a gill chamber that allows it to store water. And breathe. They can take in oxygen from that. We also have crabs in Singapore. This is called the tree climbing crab. It's also known as the vinegar crab because the Teochews like to pickle them with black sauce and vinegar and then eat it with porridge. Yeah, I have never eaten it before. And this crab lives in a mangrove. So when the tide is high, when the water comes in, you will climb up the tree, and then because it wants to escape from predators like fish that comes in with the waters. And when the tide goes down, the crab then climbs down onto the floor, onto the ground, to scavenge for food. So we have crab in the mangrove area, but we also have crabs in the sandy or coastal areas. So you might have seen these sand balls on some of the beaches before, but you might not have seen the crab itself. So it's actually, the culprit is actually a tiny little guy called the sand bubbler crab. It's probably about I think 2 centimeters. And what it does is that it will move the sand into its mouth, and it will feed on the edible particles present in the sand. And when it's done, it will process it into a sand ball that is coming out from its mouth here, and then you throw it away. So I don't really know like why it does it. Maybe because it wants to remind itself that, oh, I have processed this sand ball before, so I just put it aside so that I don't redo the same thing to waste effort. Yeah, so it's a tiny sand bubbler crab. We also have the horseshoe crab. So the horseshoe crab is a ancient creature that existed even before the dinosaurs. So although it is called a horseshoe crab, it's actually not a true crab. It is more closely related to the spiders and the scorpions. And a horseshoe crab can be found in coastal and mangrove areas. You also have sea stars. So I'm only showcasing a few species of sea stars that are found in Singapore, but we definitely have more. On the top left-hand corner, you'll see this sea star called the knobby sea star. It is sometimes called the chocolate chip sea star because of the black knobs that makes it resemble chocolate chips. We also have nudibranchs, which are sea slugs. So they are snails that have lost their shells in the adult forms. So nudibranchs, they actually come in a lot of variety colors, and they are very pretty creatures. They are usually found near coral reefs, coral rubble, and rocky shores. We also have corals in Singapore. So generally there are two kinds of corals, hard corals and soft corals. So corals, they are not plants, they are actually animals, and corals belongs to the group, in the same group as jellyfishes and sea anemones. So in Singapore, we have lost about more than 60% of hard corals since the 80s due to events such as land reclamation and also shipping port activities, right? But despite this, we still have half the diversity of the Great Barrier Reef, even though we are only 0.01% of its size. So these are the hard corals. We also have soft corals. So unlike the hard corals, they do not have a calcium skeleton. Many corals, they have a kind of algae called the zooxanthellae. So what the algae does is that it makes food for the corals. These are the sea anemones. So like the corals, they are considered animals. So you can see that on the bottom right hand corner, this is a carpet anemone, basically because it looks like a carpet. So next time when you go onto the intertidal shores, please look out for the carpet anemone. Don't mistake it as a carpet. You will try not to step on it. And this is a false crown anemone fish. Some of us might know it as Nemo. So the anemone fish stays in the anemone, and what it does is that it helps to clean the anemone, and in return, the anemone helps to protect the fish from predators. And so this is a pretty friendly relationship between the animals. And if you go diving at Pulau Hantu, this is some of the animals that you might see. And this is just a short clip. Okay, so that's what we can see at Pulau Hantu if you go diving. So after hearing so much about the marine life in Singapore, don't you think that it's amazing that we have so much marine animals present in Singapore? So the next time anyone asks you if there's any marine life in Singapore, and definitely will say yes. So you can see the otters here. This is the Bishanten otter family. Yeah, and so we have a lot of marine life in Singapore, but we also need to realize that there is a need for us to protect them so that we can continue, our future generations can continue to enjoy these and marine animals. But there's actually something that daily that threatens their survival, and the culprit is the marine trash. So what exactly is marine trash? Let us now take a crash course on marine trash.
You know that feeling of having too much stuff? Gadgets, socks, maybe a couple of abandoned fishing vessels. Now imagine that multiplied by 1 trillion, and you start to understand how the ocean must feel about marine debris. Marine debris is all the man-made stuff that ends up in the ocean, from soda cans, plastic bottles, and that sun hat you lost last summer, to abandoned fishing gear, entire vessels that are sunk in the road, whether it got there on purpose or by accident. And even if that hat happens to fit a certain octopus just perfectly, it still qualifies as marine debris. Scientists say there are 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic alone in the ocean. That's just part of the marine debris problem. All that junk is killing and injuring sea life, impeding navigation, leaching chemicals, and even ending up in our food. Plastics, for example, break down into tiny particles that resemble fish eggs. Fish consume those particles. We eat the fish. Well, you know. Marine debris is present in every ocean, carried far and wide by currents and wind. People, probably some fish, are working on ways to clean this stuff up. But as yet, nobody's found a solution. Wear your hat for that.
So marine trash is, in this slide you'll see a comparable situation between Singapore and the US. So a marine trash problem is, it's actually a problem faced in many countries, in Singapore and many other countries as well. So this photo shows East Coast Park, and East Coast Park is a beach that is visited by the regularly visited by the public. So it is called the recreational beach. So recreational beaches, they are usually cleaned by workers employed by NEA or MParks once or even twice a day. So they do look very clean, but we have to think about whether our beaches are they really clean. So in areas that are not visited by the public, these are called the non-recreational beaches or mangroves. And in this area, because it's non-recreational, it is not cleaned by workers, and they will usually end up with a higher trash load, and this is a reality of what you may see. So this is taken at Lim Chu Kang Mangrove, and we can take a look at other sites in Singapore, at Sungai Seletar in the northeast, Pasir Ris Beach, and also Jelutong Beach in Pulau Ubin, and Tanah Merah Beach. So 80% of our marine trash is actually plastic. And marine trash can have several impacts on animals, and today I'll mention 3 main impacts. So the first thing is entanglement. So locally we see this happening to our marine animals such as the horseshoe crab. In 2009 we found 300 horseshoe crabs entangled in a single gill net. So imagine if there are more fishing nets present, it could potentially kill many more marine animals. Last year in August, volunteers found 3 drift nets on Lazarus Island, which killed 13 reef sharks, crabs, fishes, and many other animals as well. So these are some photos of the animals that were killed by the fishing net. So you see the black-tipped reef shark here, the fishes, the crabs, and some other animals here as well. And what happened was that for the black-tipped reef shark, right, usually for sharks, they need to, in order to get oxygen, they usually need to continuously swim so that they can derive oxygen from, they need to derive oxygen by swimming continuously. But in this case, they were entangled in a fishing net, they struggled, and they didn't manage to get out of the fishing net. In this case, they actually drowned and died. The volunteers managed to save some of the animals, but most of the animals actually died. It doesn't only happen to small animals, it can also affect large animals such as whales. So fishing nets can impede their movement and affect their survival in the ocean. Marine trash can also cause injury to animals. So remember the Bishan 10 otter family that I mentioned? So just earlier this year, in one of the otter park, the fish hook was actually a public actually found that there's a fish hook caught in the eye of a Bishan 10 otter park. So this was taken at the Kalang River. So this is a result of irresponsible fishing activities which contributes to marine trash. So fortunately for this otter park, the fish hook was eventually dropped off. This doesn't only happen in Singapore, also in other areas such as Costa Rica. So in this case, a plastic fork was actually found stuck in the nostril of an olive ridley turtle. So this was taken last year, and what could have happened was that the turtle ingested the plastic fork and it tried to regurgitate the fork out, but in the end it got stuck in the nostril. So you see the researchers trying to remove the fork out from the nostril, which otherwise could have caused breathing difficulties for the turtle. Marine trash can also be ingested by wildlife and it can cause death. In this case, you will see the Bishan otter feeding on the styrofoam because they cannot differentiate whether it's food or not. And after that, you realize that it's not really nice. So it tried to regurgitate the styrofoam pieces out. You can see that it's trying to vomit the pieces out. Yeah, so these are some of the marine trash that can affect our marine animals. These are plastic items that were found in the stomachs of dead turtles found floating in the sea. So these were reported by researchers in Australia. So what happened was that because plastics itself, it's very lightweight, so what could have happened was that the plastic caused the turtle to float, and turtles, they have to dive down into the ocean to look for food, which is the jellyfish. And in this case, because the plastic caused them to be floating on the sea surface, they were unable to look for food. So they can actually starve to death. So in the ocean, it's very, we can differentiate between a plastic bag and a jellyfish, but in the ocean, the turtles cannot. So they tend to mistake the plastic bags for jellyfishes. And in Spain, a sperm whale was found washed up on a beach in 2012, and this is actually the amount of plastic debris found in the stomach of the sperm whale. So the percent here is for scale of comparison, and these all are the plastic debris found inside. In last year, in the gut of the dead sperm whale that was found at Jurong Island late last year, they also found plastic cups and pieces present in the gut. So we can see that it's an increasing phenomenon where animals are being affected by plastics, and sometimes it can even cause their death. And now let's take a look at a film by an American journalist, and this film is called Midway. So some of you might have watched this before.